Tuesday Night Touchdown Podcast with your hosts, Reese Downing and Jacob Workman.
What is up, everyone? Tuesday Night Touchdown Podcast, NCAA edition, week 9 for college football. Closer and closer to the end. Seems crazy. It's already week 9. That's including a week 0, too. So really, we're 10 weeks in already. Joining, as always, co-host Reese Downing. Reese, what's going on?
What's up, brother? How are you?
That's a tricky question. My team sucks. I don't know. Florida State has become such a disgrace that it's making college football a little bit less enjoyable this year. But and the man, we were gonna have a video of a guy eating shit. He made one. It was fake. He raised some money for the homeless of Tallahassee, so I'll give him a little credit to that. But that's not going to help us beat Miami next week. So I'm expecting a big loss. The man didn't eat the poop. So
the curse continues
until someone decides to eat poop. I think we're screwed. So
you called the shit poop.
Yeah, right. So we're just gonna keep moving along with the season. Last year we beat Miami by a lot, and I'm sure they're really ready for payback. So should be an interesting weekend for my team. But we're gonna get into a little bit with Miami here in just a second. But we're gonna start first with Kirby Smart. So I just found this hilarious. So if anyone that watched the Texas-Georgia game saw one of the crazier things I've ever seen happen in my life, where the refs, after fans threw trash all over the field after a terrible call, decided to get together and change that call. Kirby Smart, this honestly doesn't have a lot to do with that call other than what he said. He said that throwing water bottles on the field is dangerous, which I found hilarious because his team has 85 arrests and all drive like 120 miles an hour. And I for him to call something dangerous and setting a bad precedent to me made me laugh a lot. I was like, this of all things. Way to go, Kirby.
Yeah. I don't disagree that it was a bad flag. Rules clearly state it's not reviewable. I think that should be discussed, though, especially considering all the dog shit officiating.
Oh my God,
we've been dealing with this year. Throwing trash on the field is childish in Bush League, and I think it's stupid. But all of that said, it is quite ironic of all coaches to be saying that getting water bottles tossed is dangerous for sure.
Yeah, in the situation, like for the refs to go back, I mean, yeah, did they get the call right in the end? Yes, but the way that they went about it, I've never seen anything. I've watched a lot of football. I've never seen anything like that in my life. And even when the what's his name, the minister of culture or whatever, Matthew McConaughey for the University of Texas. Yeah, he came out and said that what Texas did was a big no-no. He didn't. That wasn't part of his culture. So hopefully everything gets fixed in the end. And I do think that the next time we see something like this, especially if it's a team like Miami that's the victim of this, God, just prepare for what's going to happen to that field because it's going to be ugly.
Yeah.
So speaking of Miami, so every week we've pretty much came back and said, "Oh, the refs did this. The refs did this. The refs did this." It was bad again this week. There was one of the most blatant holds I've ever seen in my life on a long touchdown pass when the game was tied in the third quarter, not called. There was a punt for Louisville. The guy caught it at like the 2 or 3 yard line and had a great return. Lacey was his name. He had a great return on the punt. Goes to commercial, come back, and the ball's on like the 1 yard line. And everyone's like, what the hell just happened? They called a holding on the punt return during the commercial. Someone that was at the game, like one of the Louisville reporters, said that Louisville's dance team was already on the field ready to dance, and then they threw the flag 45 seconds after the play was over. For those that watched the game, they've turned the ball over, and Miami scored off that on like 2 plays later. It was immediately right after it happened. So Louisville lost basically half the field and field possession, and then the game had a huge swing when there was a turnover. That wasn't even really the worst of all.
I was going to say. That wasn't even the worst of it.
Then Cam Ward this ball is out of his hand. He went to throw it, got knocked out of his hand, fumble. Louisville picked it up, took it back for a touchdown. Replay, here it comes. The TV referee, which they're always full of shit anyway, the guys in the booth, he was like, yeah, there's not enough there to overturn it. Everyone on Twitter's like, yeah, there's not enough there to overturn it. Oh, well, it got overturned. Big surprise. Jeff Brom, after the game, was asked about it, and he said, I thought it was a bad call. I don't know how you overturn it. I really don't. This has happened multiple times, so it's disappointing, but I don't know. I guess I was wrong. It's amazing. Every week, this Miami team could have 3 losses at minimum, if not 4 at this point. It's just becoming pretty comical, actually. Like I don't know. You just watch it and it's like, how does this keep happening?
Yeah, like the whole point behind it was indisputable evidence.
Correct.
Which is honestly, the indisputable evidence was the fact that the ball was sideways in his hand before it even started its motion forward. Like that should have confirmed the call. But what I saw on Twitter was the polar opposite. I saw a ton of people that were saying, here come the ACC refs.
Well, yeah,
they're going to flip this for Miami. Miami is sitting. I mean, if you look at the rest of their schedule, I mean, they're in good position right now to be able to make the college football playoff, and they should be completely out of it right now. Like, it shouldn't even be a question. And this is the you said the 4th game, like Virginia Tech for sure, Cal for sure, Louisville for sure. What's the 4th?
I'd have to go back and look and see. I feel like we've talked about it every week at this point.
Well, yeah, exactly. Yeah. But I mean, like, even with 3 losses is still, you're not making a college football playoff out of that. So yeah, it's crazy. It's just, yeah, I don't even, I don't even know. There's no way to fix that. Like,
no, there's nothing you can do.
There's nothing that you can do to fix that unless they have some judge that is outside of who's on the field to be able to step in and say, no, the call stands, but then you take away power from the guys that are on the field. I don't know.
Yeah. And in those 3 games, I mean, you can just think alone, like, so you got the Hail Mary called a touchdown on the field in favor of Vatek. No, nothing to show that it should have been changed.
Yep.
Cal, there was a huge targeting penalty called on the field, targeting, reviewed, took that away. This one, the fumble was a clear review, no disputable, and took it away. So, I mean, it's not like it's just calls. Like, I mean, there are more. I mean, obviously the Cal game, the fucking linemen were 6 yards downfield in the end zone when he threw the pass, and they didn't call that. And that was,
they didn't call that. Yeah.
And then with this one, with the punt, the phantom flag that came 45 seconds later when it was during commercial and the dance team's on the field. And I mean, in the hold is, it's absurd. That's one of our pictures we have on the slide here is that hold. But go back and watch the video. Like it's unbelievable. Like it's literally one of the most blatant holds you'll ever see. And it's not called. I don't know. I don't know if the ACC was like, hey, our TV money sucks, so let's just make the world's largest bet on Miami to make the playoff and make sure it happens. Like I don't know what they're trying to accomplish here, or maybe that's it. Maybe they get a more benefit of the TV money if there's more teams and they feel they can get Clemson and Miami in. I don't know. I don't know what exactly the answer is here or what exactly is going on, but there's 100% something going on. It's obvious. They're not even trying to hide it.
Yeah.
So we've talked a little bit about what coach will be fired first this year as the year's gone on. I've always said Dave Aranda. We have had 2 coaches fired now. Neither one are a group of 4, though. So maybe Dave Aranda will be the first group of 4 fired. We'll see. I have a feeling there might be a few others in front of him at this point now. But ECU head coach Mike Houston, not friend of the show Mike Houston, but this Mike Houston that believes in the extra letter in the last name. He was the first coach fired from Eastern Carolina, the Pirates. Right after that, Southern Miss did fire Coach Will Hall. So we've had 2 coaches fired now. Moving on. So IU game day is going to be at IU this week, undefeated. Coach Signetti said Curtis Rourke will not play this week. We do expect Curtis to return during the regular season. It was reported he underwent surgery on his right thumb on Monday. And just to provide some clarity, they said that there is a lot of optimism that he could be back for the Michigan State game on November 2nd. So that's not too bad. That means he would only miss this game, which would be huge. It was a big loss for IU. Jackson was able to salvage the game last week to hold on for the win. I mean, they kind of killed Nebraska, but
yeah, Nebraska didn't look good last week. Is that his throwing hand?
Yes, it was. I believe it was on his right thumb.
Damn. And they're thinking he might be back in 2 weeks after undergoing surgery.
Yeah, they said that they think the surgery went well, and that this week will be the only game he should miss. And now the game after this week is Michigan State. Michigan State isn't, and it's at Michigan State too. So that's a game I would want him back for. I think Michigan State's getting better and better each week. So if he can be back and play with the season they're having, IU's schedule lines up that they could realistically be like 10-1. I don't know how you leave a 10-1 team out of the playoff, to be honest. That would be insane, but we'll see what happens as the season goes on. Anything the hell, this year's been crazy with what's been going on. Brent Venables, coach of Oklahoma, has announced that Jackson Arnold is going to be back starting at quarterback over Michael Hawkins this week against Ole Miss. And Oklahoma did fire their offensive coordinator, Seth Luttrell. My God, Oklahoma's a disaster. Like, Venables getting fired at this point wouldn't even surprise me. It's getting pretty ugly there. Crazy stat, UNLV star receiver Ricky White III, he now has 3 blocked punts himself this year. That's more than any other team in the FBS with 2. The fact he's got 3 blocked punts himself is just insane. Like, most guys don't do that in their career, let alone 3 in a season. And he will be in the feature game this week at home against Boise State, so we'll get to see him in action. So watch out for special teams. Missouri quarterback Brady Cook went to the hospital for an MRI during the game. Then he warmed up in the indoor facility trying to come back into the game when Auburn did take the lead over Missouri. Said they asked Brady Cook how he got to the hospital and back. He said it was in a truck with a trainer driving through tailgates and making eye contact with some very confused fans outside the stadium. That's a pretty hilarious situation. I was watching the game and I thought he was done. And then all of a sudden I was like, wait a minute, is that Cook back in the game? And it was, and they came back and won the game at the very end. Another coordinator change. Utah's offensive coordinator, Andy Ludwig, has stepped down. So another offensive coordinator gone. Another offense that's just been abysmal. Utah's offense is ugly as hell.
Yeah, you're talking about coaches on the hot seat. I don't think they're going to fire Kyle Whittingham, but they may ask him to retire after
yeah.
They already have his successor lined up, right? In what's the DC's name there? What's his name? Morgan Scaley, I think is his name. They already have him lined up. But yeah, like the way that Utah's been playing this year, I don't think they're going to outright fire him, but he's already like 64, 65.
Yeah, he's old. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think they may ask him to hang up the whistle after this year's over.
Yeah, and then one last little note here. Kenny Dillingham, head coach of Arizona State, said this was obviously after the game, but he said that they will be holding kicker tryouts on Monday. He said, our kicking game is atrocious. If you can kick and you're at Arizona State, email me. We're going to have kicking tryouts on Monday. I'm dead serious. So obviously we've got a little change at kicker coming at Arizona State. Just to go through some top 25 results last week. God, what an ugly game to start this. But Oregon 35, Purdue 0. Oklahoma State 35, BYU 38. A nice little late night comeback by the Mormons at the end of the game. Oklahoma State with some of the worst defense I've ever seen on the last drive of the game. Georgia 30, Texas 15, Miami 52, Louisville 45, Alabama 17, Tennessee 24. Another loss for Bama. LSU 34, Arkansas 10, UCF 35, Iowa State 38. Virginia 31, Clemson 48, Notre Dame 31, Georgia Tech 13, Texas A&M 34, Mississippi State 24, Nebraska 7, Indiana 56, Kansas State 45, West Virginia 18, Auburn 17, Missouri 21, SMU 40, Stanford 10, Michigan 7, Illinois 21, East Carolina 28, Army 45. Apparently, they weren't too fond of losing the Army, and that's why they fired their coach. Army's a pretty good team, so that's interesting.
Yeah.
Charlotte 17, the Fighting Biff Pogies. They lost to our Navy 51-17. All right, week 9. Oh, sorry. Before we get to week 9, we're gonna go over what will look like. So we have a current playoff bracket. It's a little projected just because we have the top 4 seeds from each conference, so those are at least guaranteed in an auto bid. But the rest of it is kind of speculation at this point, just because we never know what that wonderful committee is going to do. So right now, looking at things, Oregon would be the number 1 seed and have a first round bye, with Georgia having the 2 seed with a bye. Miami would be the 3 and Iowa State the 4. All of those would be first round byes, and all of those games would take place at a neutral site. Home field sites right now. So these games would be on the home field. Number 9 Tennessee would be traveling to number 8 Clemson. That would be awesome. That would be an environment. That would be this. To me, this first round of the college football playoff is what everyone's been waiting for. Home games. And these are going to be some huge ass games. So Clemson hosting Tennessee, Penn State. And before we get into this, Penn State, I don't understand what their deal was with this new TV deal. Why can we not get a night? Penn State doesn't have night games anymore at home. And it's insane to me. Like, the whiteout at noon is stupid. Like, get rid of this. They got to figure something out. I don't want to watch Penn State play at home at noon. Like, it's bullshit. I don't know. They're taking a lot of the atmosphere out of that stadium too by doing that.
Yeah.
So that's one thing that needs figured out. But Penn State would be hosting the highest rank non-group of 4 in Boise State. Boise State is the 12. Texas would be hosting BYU, which would be awesome. And then Ohio State would be hosting LSU. So, think of playoff games at Ohio State, at Penn State, at Texas's environment is kind of shitty. I'm not going to lie. I'm not a big fan of their home field. And Clemson, I will give them that would be awesome. So Clemson, Penn State, Ohio State, all being at home, that would be incredible. Texas, I was a little embarrassed for Texas last week. Actually, you could hear more Georgia fans in the crowd in Austin than you could Texas. And for a game that huge, like one of the biggest games they've hosted in a long time.
A long time, yeah.
Yeah, like I was really embarrassed by the crowd there. And they, obviously then they threw shit on the field, made themselves even more embarrassed. But like, you can't be getting out cheered by the road team in your home stadium in your biggest home game like ever. So I don't know, that environment I'm not, and especially if they're playing BYU would probably have better crowd support actually. But looking at this, that sets up so Oregon versus Clemson or Tennessee, that would be awesome. Iowa State, Penn State, I'd rather watch golf, but hopefully Boise would win that game. So, because I would love to see a Boise Iowa State, that would be awesome. Miami facing either the Mormons or Texas, that would be good. And then Georgia, Ohio State, or LSU. Like, I think the playoff is going to live up to the hype. I think it's going to be awesome this year, especially with all the uncertainty we've seen. And just think if that Penn State is, well, they wouldn't get as high as the 5. But let's flip Ohio State. Put Ohio State as the 5 facing Boise, and put like IU hosting LSU or something like that. Like, give one of these teams that you wouldn't expect to have a home crowd, like IU or something like that. I think it'd be awesome. So obviously within the next few weeks, we're going to know a lot more about how this is going to play out. But just to look at it now, like, how can you not get excited for that? Like, to me, that's a hell of a tournament.
Yeah.
All right, now we're getting into week 9 picks. We are kicking it off Thursday night. Syracuse is going on the road to number 19 Pitt. Pitt's a 6-point favorite at Acrisure Stadium in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. 62.5 over under, Thursday at 7:30 on ESPN.
Syracuse has not won a road game in this series since you and I were sophomores in high school, 2001. So they're due a win. I think this is going to be a ton of fun to watch. Cuse's McCord, second in the country right now in passing yards per game. Pitt's Desmond Reed, second in the country in all-purpose yards. I think this is going to be a close game at the end, but I'm going to take Syracuse here to keep this close enough to cover, if not get the outright W.
Yeah, I like Syracuse in this one too. They've just been playing really well, and I think that they play the type of ball that travels too. Like I think it'll be a fun game for a Thursday night at least. I think it's gonna be good, and I think 6 is way too much. I don't know if Syracuse will win outright, but to me this seems like a 3-point game. And this is a disgrace. Number 17 Boise State, 3.5-point favorite going on the road to UNLV at Allegiant Stadium in Las Vegas, Nevada. 66.5 over under Friday at 10:30 on the CBS Sports Network. Why? Like, this is one of the biggest games of the year, and it's 10:30 on the CBS Sports Network. It's so stupid to me.
On a Friday.
Yeah. I mean, for a Friday, like at least do. Well, I mean, I get that they're West Coast, but do 8:00. 8:00 on Fox. Like get real television for this game. This is a huge game. And I know, well, we can't do Fox because it's the World Series, but hell, it's on CBS Sports Network. Put it on CBS. What is CBS showing on a Friday night at 8:00? Probably NYPD Blue from 1930. Like, who the hell cares? Like, put a real game on there.
Well, for what it's worth, if you're not a Yankees or a Dodgers fan, I don't think anybody wants to watch that damn series anyway. But
true,
massive implications in this game. This may be a game that decides who reps the group of 5 in the playoff.
Yep.
Two teams, tremendous rushing attacks. Boise State's won 7, the last 7 between these two. I'm going for number 8 here. Give me the Broncos minus the points to win and cover.
Yeah, I'm on Boise State too. I think UNLV is a little fraudulent. I mean, they've played better than I thought they were going to. But Syracuse went there and played them really well. I think Boise's going to go there. I think Boise's going to have the home crowd. It's a huge stadium. Boise's going to travel more. I've watched a lot of UNLV games at home, and their crowd is pathetic. I think this will be a very pro Boise crowd. And I mean, I wish I could say that Genty's going to have a chance to perform on a bigger stage than this, but this might be what it is. It's unfortunately, but I do like Boise in this one. Nebraska is going on the road to number 4 Ohio State. Ohio State is a 25.5-point favorite at Ohio Stadium in Columbus, Ohio. 48.5 over under Saturday at noon on Fox.
Oh, let's see here. Yeah, Cornhuskers coming off an ugly loss against the Hoosiers last week. Bucks are coming off the bye. They've won the last several here by more than 30. It's a big spread, but I'm going to go Buckeyes.
Yeah, I'm going Ohio State too. That performance last week by Nebraska was not good at all, and Ohio State last game was their loss to Oregon. So, I mean, I think that they're going to come out with a little bit more to prove here. Number 12, Notre Dame, is a 12.5-point favorite as they face number 24, Navy, at MetLife Stadium in East Rutherford, New Jersey. 52.5 over under Saturday at noon on ABC.
Yeah, interesting matchup going into the season. You and I both had the Service Academy teams as relatively easy W's for Notre Dame, and I'm not really as confident in that now. Navy 6-0. Horvath is a real matchup problem. Should be an entertaining matchup with this Notre Dame defense that's pretty dominant against the rush D against this offense. Irish have owned the series recently. I think they're going to get the W, but I just don't like the 12.5. I'm going to take Navy here to keep it within 12.
Yeah. I'm taking Navy also. I think that they can. I mean, obviously, it's going to be I think it'll be a fast game because Navy obviously keeps the clock running all the time with the way they play. But I think they have the ability to move the ball on Notre Dame and score some points. I think 12.5 is a lot also. Washington going on the road to number 13, IU. IU is a 6.5-point favorite at Memorial Stadium in Bloomington, Indiana. 53.5 over under Saturday at noon on the Big Ten Network.
Yeah, you already talked about it. Hoosiers are going to be without Rourke. Instead, we'll get Taven Jackson. That likely leans towards IU relying pretty heavily on the run game, but that's a good matchup for them here because the Husky rush defense is pretty suspect. So I'm going to take the Hoosiers at home here to win and cover.
Yeah, I have not been that impressed with Washington. And I just Cignetti's got it rolling right now. And I know it's a backup quarterback. That's really the only scary situation in this, but it is a guy with the least experience. He did start some games last year, so I don't think it's a huge deal. And he obviously got the playing time last week when Rourke was hurt, but I'm on IU to cover the 6.5 also. Oklahoma is going on the road to number 18, Ole Miss. Ole Miss is a 20.5-point favorite at Vaught Hemingway Stadium in Oxford, Mississippi. 48.5 over under Saturday at noon on ESPN.
Yeah, this will be Sooners' first week without Seth Luttrell after he got fired after the game against Gamecocks. They're definitely a better team than what they're playing right now, but Ole Miss coming off a bye week. They're at home. I'm taking Ole Miss here to win and cover.
Yeah, I can't trust Oklahoma at all right now. I mean, I know Venables is a defensive specialist and gimmicky offenses like Lanes is kind of where he flourishes, but I don't think they're good. I'm taking Ole Miss minus 20.5. Number 20, Illinois is going on the road to number 1 this week, Oregon. Oregon's a 21.5 point favorite at Autzen Stadium in Eugene, Oregon. 54.5 over under Saturday at 3:30 on CBS.
Yeah, this is a tough matchup for the first game of them ranked number 1. Illini have a solid rushing game. A quarterback in Luke Altmaier has been both efficient and protective of the ball. I think this matchup still favors the Ducks, though, especially in Autzen. So I'm going to take Oregon here to win and cover.
Yeah, I've actually liked what Illinois has done this year. They played Michigan really well last week. I'm going to admit something I never thought I was going to admit, but Dylan Gabriel against Ohio State was impressive. He got rid of the Bo Nix shit in my head, because in my head, Oregon can only throw the ball 3 yards in the air. That is true still for Bo Nix, but Dylan Gabriel was slinging it all over the field, all over Ohio State secondary. I was very impressed, and I think that's he's changed my mind a lot. Do I think that they're like a clear-cut number 1 and that they're the best team in the nation? No, I don't think anyone's the best team in the nation. That's the problem with this year. There's so much parity, so many good teams. That's why the playoff's going to be awesome. But I think at home against Illinois, I think they're in great shape here. I'm going to take them to cover the 21.5. Number 11, BYU is going on the road to UCF. UCF is a 1-point favorite at FBC Mortgage Stadium in Orlando, Florida. 55.5 over under Saturday at 3:30 on ESPN.
It took all 60 minutes for the Cougs to escape with a W last week against Oklahoma State, but they did get it done. UCF has a strong rushing attack. They've looked better since they replaced KJ Jefferson. They're still on a 4-game losing streak here. I'm going to make it 5. I'll take BYU plus the 1 here, actually, to win and cover on the road.
Yeah, our friends that created South Park created a thing called the Book of Mormon. In the Book of Mormon, there's a song called Orlando. Orlando has a lot of Mormons, and we're bringing a few more. I'm taking BYU to win this game outright. Moving on, number 21, Missouri going on the road to number 15, Alabama. Alabama is a 13.5 point favorite at Bryant-Denny Stadium in Tuscaloosa, Alabama. 55.5 over under Saturday at 3:30 on ABC.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on at Bama, but DeBoer's got to get it fixed because they have not looked great these past 3 weeks. What makes this tougher is that the Tigers are having their own struggles. They have to get a big win here to stay in the mix, especially after a blowout against the Yale leaders. I think Bama gets the W here, but I don't like the size of the spread. So I'm going to take Mizzou here plus the points to keep it within 13.
Yeah, it's weird to say this, but right now we can't trust Bama that much, especially with a 13.5 to me. Like I will say Missouri looked like shit last week at home against Auburn. Cook did have to come back and win the game at the very end. They didn't look very good at all. So you would theoretically think that this is a Bama pretty decent win here, but they haven't proven that yet. And I'm really starting to wonder if Ryan Grubb not being with the Boar is something we need to pay attention to, because obviously we'll probably talk about this a little more in the NFL show, but what Grubb is doing in Seattle, that offense is set like tops in the NFL in offense passing, and Bama's offense hasn't looked that great. So, I mean, I don't know if it's more of a DeBoer getting back into being the OC and back into running the offense as opposed to Grubb, who's been with him for such a long time, or I don't know. There's a lot of things we need to figure out in Alabama as to what's going on there. But I'm on Missouri plus the 13.5. I just don't think we can trust Bama yet. Number 5, Texas is an 18.5 point favorite going on the road to number 25, Vanderbilt. We got Vandy and the Pisser in the top 25. This is at First Bank Stadium, the construction zone in Nashville, Tennessee. 53.5 over under Saturday at 4:15 on the SEC network.
I can't believe the Pisser is ranked right now. Unfortunately for them, I don't think it's going to last beyond this week. Texas just got embarrassed at home. They should be playing angry. I expect them to come out and try to get a statement win against the Commodores, especially after they saw what Vandy did to Bama. I don't think they're going to try to make that same mistake. So I'm going to take Hookem here minus the points to win and cover.
I think it's too many points. I think Diego can make the offense go, and Texas's defense hasn't. Texas is another one of those teams. It's impossible this year to really say who's great and who isn't. But Texas to me is not 18.5 points better than Vanderbilt. I would say they're 14 points better maybe, but 18 is a lot. I'm going to take Vandy to get the cover here at home. Here we go. The man didn't eat the poop. That's all we need to say here. Florida State is going on the road to number 6 Miami. Miami is a 21-point favorite, and will also have the aid of the ACC officials at Hard Rock Stadium in Miami Gardens, Florida. 54.5 over under Saturday at 7 on ESPN.
Yeah, your boys -10 turnover ratio, haven't scored more than 16 since the Ireland game. They've won the last 3 against Miami, but I think that streak's going to come to an end here. So I'm going to take ACC refs minus the points to win and cover.
Yeah, and my like biggest bet of the weekend, take the over of the 54.5. Miami's going to score like 48 probably. Yeah, like, and now that means we do have to score, and that's saying a lot, but 54.5, I mean, to me, we're going way over that. I'm taking Miami. Jesus God, all the things. Number 3, Penn State is a 6.5-point favorite going on the road to Wisconsin. Camp Randall Stadium, Madison, Wisconsin, 47.5 over under Saturday at 7:30 on NBC.
Yeah, Badgers are on a 3-game winning streak, and it's not been against opponents as tough as Penn State, but this is a night game in Camp Randall. Nittany Lions can't be looking ahead to next week's showdown either against the Buckeyes, which I think could be a problem in this one. I've gone back and forth on this game. I think Penn State's going to win this, but I don't know that they're going to be able to win it by a touchdown. So I'm going to take Wisconsin here plus the 6.5.
Yeah, so at the beginning of the year, we talked about they brought in transfer quarterback Tyler Van Dyke from Miami. I talked about how ass he was and how much he sucks. So there's 2 things that go together with this. One, Tyler Van Dyke got hurt in the Bama game, and Braden Locke has been their quarterback. Braden Locke has also won the last 3 games in a row where Van Dyke has been ass. But just like you said, they haven't been playing the best teams either. So it's like, is Locke the answer, and that was the difference? Or is it that they've been playing shittier competition? Or is it both, and they're going to be all right? To me, though, atmosphere-wise, this is going to be insane. Camp Randall on a Saturday night with the dairy raid kind of coming back to life. We got a vaccine for the mad cow disease, I think, and it was get rid of Tyler Van Dyke. So I think we're in for one Saturday night. I like it. I'm taking Wisconsin plus the 6.5. Number 8 LSU is going on the road to number 14 Texas A&M. Texas A&M is a 2.5-point favorite at our favorite place, Kyle Field, College Station, Texas. 53.5 over under Saturday at 7:30 on ABC.
Yeah, A&M's been rolling since the Notre Dame game, heads into a primetime matchup against an LSU team that's also been rolling since their week 1 loss to USC. This is the game of the week, in my opinion. I think it's going to live up to the hype. We'll see if the Aggies defense can slow down Nussmeier. Home teams won the last 7, and I've been going back and forth on this game, so I'm going to stick with the script and go with the Yell Leaders here to win and cover in a big matchup.
That's the first time in a few weeks you've picked him. You've been going against our guy, so he's going to be a little bit more pleased this week. At the beginning of the year, if you remember during our SEC preview, I put a bet in for Texas A&M to make the playoffs. It was great odds. This one's going to go a long way to that. I think A&M is. I think 2.5 is too low. I like Texas A&M in this one. So just for old time's sake, since we're both on them, here we go.
Now let's go ahead and do that yell together. Pass it back, Ags. Hump it, Ags. 1, 2, 3. A R A.
I didn't know you were going to listen to the whole fucking thing.
T.
Yeah, I mean, this is more for the YouTube videos. You have to watch this man do his dance. It's unbelievable. Here we go. Oh, look at that. That's electric.
Oh, Army, fight. Hey, 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 hey.
If Texas A&M makes the playoffs, I might do that dance on the video so I can cash my A&M to make the playoffs ticket. I know it was a good bet. I don't remember the exact future amount that it was, but it was good. So I'm very much looking forward to that. And then they obviously still will close the year playing Texas. So a few big games left, but I'm really liking A&M to make the playoffs right now, which on that thing we showed earlier, the projections, they were not in, but I think they're going to get in. I think they're going to be in good shape. Obviously, I am on A&M. Reese is on A&M. Kansas going on the road to number 16, Kansas State. Kansas State's a 10-point favorite. Bill Snyder Family Stadium in the Little Apple. 55.5 over under Saturday at 8 on ESPN2.
Yeah, K-State's owned this series for a while. They've won 15 straight now. Kansas is feeling good after finally breaking that 5-game losing streak against Houston last week, but the Wildcats are back home. They've gotten some big wins this season. Avery Johnson, I think, played probably his best game of the season last week. I'm taking K-State here to win and cover.
I still just struggle with this. I think Kansas is good, and I think Kansas State is not, but every game is a different result. I think Kansas loses every game, and Kansas State somehow finds a way to win every game. I'm going to take Kansas to cover. I don't know if they're going to win because they haven't won what seems like any games this year. I think they've only won one game. And I'm pretty sure that they haven't covered a game yet this year. They might be the same. Maybe they've covered one, but I don't think they've covered a game this year either against the spread. But I'm going to give them a shot here. I think this one's going to mean a little bit more to them. I'm going to take Kansas to cover the 10. Number 22, SMU is an 11.5-point favorite going on the road to Duke at Wallace-Wade Stadium in Durham, North Carolina. 48.5 over under Saturday at 8 on the ACC network.
Yeah, Blue Devils riding high after getting their first ever win against Florida State last week. They're now sitting at 6-1, but honestly, I think that this team is not as good as what their record looks like. Now they're running into an SMU team that's been averaging over 40 a game, has a tremendous rush attack. I'm going pony team here to win and cover.
Yeah, I thought this was a surprisingly low over under at 48.5. I think SMU beats them by a lot. I think they easily cover the 11.5. If you were to actually watch the Florida State Duke game last week, which I hope no one did, but unfortunately I did, Duke's offense didn't do anything, like truly nothing. They scored off of defensive turnovers. Our offense was abysmal. If we scored on the first drive of the game to go up 7-0. If we would have just punted on first down, we would have won the game. Like they didn't do anything on offense. And I think that's going to be a huge problem against SMU. So I think SMU covers this one pretty easily. All right. I believe that wrapped up our top 25 picks. We are now joining the Muncie 6-pack, kicking it off Friday night. Right after the World Series on Fox, we're getting this gym also in LA. Rutgers is going on the road to face USC. USC's a 14-point favorite at Los Angeles Memorial Coliseum in Los Angeles, California. 56.5 over under Friday at 11 p.m. on Fox.
A couple things here. First, let's just give a quick nod to the addition to the Muncie 6-pack slide here. We got Big Ovis
Yes.
on the slides now. Secondly, we talked a little bit about coaches on the hot seat. Lincoln Riley's ass is on fire right now. And if they lose this game, I think there's a strong possibility that he may get the heave-ho. Rutgers started off hot. They've cooled down in the last 3. It's a cross-country trip, which makes this a tougher W for Rutgers. If this were flip-flopped, I'd be going more towards Rutgers. 14 still a lot. I think USC is going to get this win, but I don't like the spread. I'm going to go with Rutgers here to keep it close enough to cover the 14.
Yeah, this is almost a loser leaves town match. I think Shiano is going to get fired also at Rutgers. He has built them up and had started the year pretty well, but they've really fallen apart the last few weeks, and I don't think they're going to be able to handle this game. I think USC is going to win and cover, but I'm with you. It wouldn't surprise me if at the end of the season, if not only Shiano's gone, but if Lincoln Riley's gone, I think both of these coaches are in trouble. Speaking of coaches in trouble, good Christ. Oklahoma State is going on the road to face Baylor. Aranda and Gundy, like another two dynamite duo here. Baylor's a 7-point favorite at McLean Stadium in Waco, Texas. And no, friends, Chip and Joanna aren't even going to watch this shit. So 65.5 over under Saturday at 3:30 on the plus.
Fucking Chip and Joanna. I don't know how you replace Gundy at Oklahoma State. I don't think there's another guy in the country except from every Biff that would fit well in that place. I think Baylor has the more balanced team. Plus they have the home field advantage. Oklahoma State is playing like shit right now. So I'm taking Baylor minus the 7. I can't pick the Cowboys as much as I would have to start this season.
Yeah. I picked Oklahoma State in this one just because I don't see how anyone wins this game by 7. To me, this is like a 3 or 4 point game. I don't know who wins because they've both been terrible, but I still think 7 is too much unless there's some like fumble touchdown at the end, which I could see with these teams also. So who knows? Oklahoma State did just have a heartbreaking loss. They had the Mormons beat on their home field. And then, like I said, the worst defensive drive I've ever seen in my life to lose the game at the end. So that might be even more of a disastrous end to the season. Maybe that's why that Baylor is getting 7 here, because they think that after last week, it might just be over for them, which I could understand that. But I am going to take Oklahoma State, just thinking that maybe this is too many points, but I'm never going to bet this game in real life. Northern Illinois, we got a lot of coaches on the hot seat here.
Yeah.
Northern Illinois is an 11-point favorite as they go on the road to Ball State. Schumann Stadium, Muncie, Indiana, 48.5 over under Saturday at 3:30. We got another one on the plus. I don't know if anyone's watching on YouTube noticing this, but 3 of the 7 in the 6-pack are on the plus. That should tell you how this week is.
Oh, that tells you usually how the Muncie 6-pack lines up. Both these teams coming off of losses. Cards are 4-3 against the spread. I think being the home team gives them a little extra juice. I don't know if they're going to get the outright W. I'm going to take my Cards here to cover the spread, but we are definitely looking at hot seat material for New in the shoe. I don't know how much longer we're going to be able to say that. He needs to. I think it's time.
Yeah, I agree. And I don't think that they can stop Northern Illinois enough to keep it within 11. I think Ball State's offense is good, but I don't think they're going to be able to score enough. I think Northern Illinois is going to cover the 11. Oregon State is going on the road to Cal. Cal's a 10-point favorite at California Memorial Stadium in Berkeley, California. 48.5 over under Saturday at 4 o'clock on ESPN2.
Yeah, Oregon State coming off the home loss to UNLV. Now they're facing a Cal Bears team that's dropped 4 state, but they've all had extremely close games. They've lost the last 3 by a combined 4 points, which is just insane. I'm going to take a flyer here on Cal and say they get the W at home and break the losing streak. So give me Cal here minus the 10 to win and cover.
Yep, I am on Cal also. Oregon State, that was a little devastating of a loss last week. They were up early and then just completely fell apart. I like Cal at home here. God, coaches on the hot seat. Here we go. Utah again. We already talked about this earlier. Kyle Winningham. Utah, 3.5-point favorite on the road at Houston at TDECU Stadium, whatever the hell that stands for. In Houston, Texas, 36.5 over under. Like for a college game. My God, that's terrible.
Yeah.
Saturday at 7 on the plus.
We may see more than 36 in the first World Series game. Houston's offense has been struggling recently. Even though Utah's underperforming, I do think that they're the better team. I'm going to take the Utes here to win and cover on the road.
I'm out on Utah. I've lost all faith in them, and I want to give my guy Willie Fritz a chance for a program-building win here in his first year. So I'm going to take Houston plus the 3.5. Michigan State is going on the road to Michigan. Michigan's a 4-point favorite at Michigan Stadium in Ann Arbor, Michigan. 40.5 over under Saturday at 7:30 on the Big Ten Network.
Wolverines have lost 2 straight. They return home to face a rival in Team Sparty. Being back home, I think, gives them a little bit of an edge, but God, Michigan State's starting to look like they're picking things up a little bit, and I don't know that I like the -4 here. I think this may be a 3-point game. I'm going to take Team Sparty plus the 4.
Yeah, I said earlier in the episode that Michigan State is a team that's building week by week when I was talking about IU playing them next week. I think Michigan, their offense is something I've never seen. They can't throw the ball at all. I'm on Michigan State plus the 4, and I think Michigan State's going to win this game outright. Cincinnati is going on the road to Colorado. Colorado's a 5.5-point favorite at Folsom Field in Boulder. 57.5 over under Saturday at 10:15 on ESPN.
Yeah, big conference matchup here. Since he's shown up when they're on the road, Colorado's been playing decent at home, so this one makes it a little tough to pick. I think the difference here is going to be Colorado's defense, though, so I'm going to take the Buffs to win and cover.
Yeah, Cincinnati has surprisingly gotten better as the season's gone on. Like at the beginning of the year, I was talking about I don't think they're a very good team at all. They've improved. I don't think they've improved enough to go and win against Colorado, and probably not even really keep it within the 5.5. I think Colorado probably wins this. Probably around, I would say like 10 even. So I do like Colorado to get the cover here. So that wraps up the Muncie 6-pack. We are now going to go on to our lock of the week. Reese, what is your lock of the week?
I am going with the Storm and Mormons. Lock me in on BYU +1 over UCF. I just don't think the spread's big enough here, favors them. So I'll go BYU.
There's a lot of water parks in Orlando. So Soaker's wild for the Mormons after they win. My lock of the week is actually coming Friday night. I'm going number 17, Boise State, to go into Allegiant Stadium and beat them by more than 3.5. I like Boise State. Dog of the week. Reese, what's your upset of the week?
Picking a dog this week was a little tough for me, but I'm going to throw a dart in the dark here and say Syracuse gets the W over Pittsburgh. In Pittsburgh, Kyle McCord's shown some flashes. Syracuse offense has the ability to stay in this game. It may come down to a last who has the last ball, but give me Otto in the upset.
So you're going top 25 upset. I'm going top 25 upset. Wisconsin plus 202 at home takes down number 3 Penn State. It's going to be going crazy. We're going to be jumping around the Badgers, doing the Badger dance all night long. It's over for Penn State, thankfully, because I'm sick of talking about them. All right, so that is going to wrap up the Week 9 college football pick edition of the Tuesday Night Touchdown podcast. For Reese Downing, I am Jacob Borgman, and we will see you guys next week. Have a good one, everyone.
Cheers, guys.